So I was having some free calls the other day and I was speaking with a lot of different coaches and practitioners just to see if they were going to be a good fit for Health Coach Accelerator. And I had three different conversations with three different coaches about done for you programs. And so I really appreciated the transparency, the honesty. These coaches were telling me that they were deciding between my program or another program that basically gave them a done for you program with the social media templates and all the marketing templates. And they were like, yeah, and I can just like throw my information in there and plug and play and throw it up. And it just seems like your program is going to be more work. And I found this really, really interesting. And I actually talked about this, I believe, in December of 2024 when I was talking about my predictions for 2025. And I really do believe this prediction has come to be true. Done for you content, done for you templates, done for you programs, and marketing templates are fucking dead. They're officially toast. Okay. And they are not going to work in 2025 and they are not going to work moving forward. Okay. Now, this is how I can prove it. And this is really, really interesting. So, you may or may not be familiar with Russell Brunson. He is the creator of ClickFunnels, very popular landing page software. And he created the perfect webinar script. And I learned the perfect webinar script really early on in my business. It was basically this like step by step webinar template, like say this, say this, say this, say this. And it worked. I was able to take that webinar script, kind of transfer it into my own stuff and make sales. And it worked. And a lot of people used it. And then eventually, more and more people started using it to the point where everyone was using it. And then it became very predictable. If somebody is using a perfect webinar script these days, I know exactly what they're doing. I know exactly that that is what it is. And people just started seeing it more and more and more, and it stopped working. So, Russell Brunson, he is someone who has literally made his entire career and made millions and millions of dollars on templated marketing because he doesn't just have the perfect webinar script. He has all kinds of different marketing templates that he has sold to people over the year. And early on in fall, I don't know if he's still running these ads, but he was literally running an ad that said templated marketing is dead. This is the father of templated marketing. Like I said, the dude who literally made millions doing this. And he's out there running ads telling you that it's dead. That, my friend, is something that we need to pay attention to. And it makes me sad because some of these people who decided not to sign up for HCA and maybe decided to go with some sort of done for you thing, they're probably not going to have results. Okay. Because the online marketing space is really hard. And we're dealing with very educated and experienced and intelligent consumers. They know when it's a template. They know when it's not you. It's like, when commercials were probably first shown back in the day, people weren't as educated on commercials and maybe they worked better, but now we just know how to turn it out. Some Cheese Whiz commercial on TV will never convince me to buy Cheese Whiz, no matter how much it tells me that it's great in vitamin C and it's high in protein and it's like real cheese or whatever, right? It's just like, yeah, I know you're full of shit, right? So we're dealing with a very experienced consumer. It's not their first rodeo. They know. Okay. And so when we just think we can plug and play, it doesn't actually work. And I think it's very tempting to think that this sort of strategy would work because it's easy, right? A lot of times we do not know what to post on social media. We have no idea, right? A lot of times we don't know what to put in a program. We have no idea, right? So isn't it nice that someone could just create it for us and we could just add in our information and it could work? And it won't. And if you're someone who has had a lot of success, you've made multiple six figures purely using templates, purely using done for you social, please let me know. Because I would love to know if that is actually still working for someone, but I do believe there will be crickets in my DMs. Okay. So the biggest reason why this doesn't work, again, comes down to the consumer. People are very skeptical, right? And they are very choosy with who they decide to work with. People are only going to work with people who are really thinking outside the box. They're only going to work with people that they know, like, and trust, and they truly connect with. Okay. And, if we're speaking about something like social media, um, Algorithms don't reward generic content, right? Even the CEO of Instagram says you need to have a very specific niche if you want to succeed on Instagram. This is the CEO of Instagram. Fucking makes the algorithms. We should listen to him, right? And when you get done for you content, there's just no way that it can be niche specific because there are hundreds of niches. So it's going to be general. And basically, you're going to have this circle hole and you're going to be putting this square peg into the circle hole, trying to make what you do fit. And it's not going to flow and it's going to come off as inauthentic. Okay. Because when it comes to social media, what really will help you stand out are your hot takes, right? Your polarizing opinions on things, your story, your opinions, right? The way that you challenge the way that they think. So you can't replicate a hot take, your story, your opinions in done for you content. You can't replicate your personality. You can't replicate connection, right? You just can't do that with done for you social media. Okay. And so these sorts of strategies will never work. Now, let's talk about done for you programs. Now, I once purchased a done for you program because I thought, great, this will just, be the program. I can just, input my information into it. I'm going to make all this money. I bought that done for you program and I literally spent probably like weeks trying to make it work for the niche that I was doing, right? Because it was totally general. And I was like, well, this doesn't make sense for my specific niche. And I don't agree with that. And that's not my thing. And I don't think that's going to work. So I literally spent weeks trying to squeeze my niche into this done for you program. And in the end, I didn't use it. I just chucked it out. And it was a huge waste of money because it just wasn't going to work. Right. So the big reason why a done for you program isn't going to work because it's not the information that actually gets people results, right? We have Google, we have ChatGPT, we have 15K wellness influencers, right? Your client doesn't just need another batch of information. They need your coaching, your experience, your intuition, okay? Your ability to pivot, troubleshoot, call them on their shit, your emotional support when they hit a wall, right? So done for you almost assumes that your clients are robots, and they're not. They're humans with messy, layered problems, right? And so I don't see how a done for you program can give you anything else than just general information, right? Because it's done for you. And we have like thousands of niches out there. There's so many different ways to go. So a program and a methodology, which is what I help my students create inside Health Coach Accelerator, is a step-by-step method that is unique to you. Nobody else has it. It's your unique way of doing things. And a done for you program will never be able to do that, right? And if you're just giving very generic information, well, people are going to be pretty fucking disappointed, right? Because they can get that information on ChatGPT. ChatGPT can create a whole health protocol for them, right? They can find that information on Google. And if you're just giving them very general information that they've already read a million times, when they come into your program, they're going to be like, well, I've seen this before. This is why in HCA, we show our students how to actually create a step-by-step method. 3 steps, 5 steps, 7 steps, something like that. And it's in a very specific order. And it's what you believe personally through your experience, either personally or with clients or both. You believe it's what they need to do in order to get the result. And it's different. It can be trademarked, right? It's unique to you. Done for you program is never going to give that to you. And I believe that these days, you need to have a unique methodology to be successful, not only for your client success, but also for the way in which it's marketed. Because if you're just selling, come into my program and get 11 video modules, nobody cares. Come into my program and get a resource library. Nobody cares. Come into my program and get, a few guides or whatever. Nobody cares, right? But if you're saying, hey, the reason why you haven't gotten results before is because you haven't done my 5-step, gut detox method or whatever you're going to call it. And you're like, most people do it this way, but we do it this way because of this. And that's why it's different. That is way more compelling. Okay. And again, templated programs, done for you programs are never going to give this to you. Okay. So Previously, in previous versions of Health Coach Accelerator, when people came in, we used to give them access to templates for everything because we asked people to do a lot of things in HCA. You need to do a lot of things if you want to have an online program, right? So we'd have a webinar script, we'd have promotional emails for the webinar, we have social media posts, we have post webinar sales emails, right? All these different things that people need to write. And what I did in the past is I had my copywriter basically create templates that my students could use. And I spent a lot of money getting these templates created. And what we have found in the past year or so is they don't work anymore. And what I've noticed is even though I tell my students, like, you need to write these in your own voice, like, these are just a template, they're a framework, like, these need to be your own, is that all of them kind of sounded the same. And they were sort of trying to squeeze their sort of niche into these templates. And it used to work in the past when we had, less educated, less experienced consumers, but now they just weren't working anymore. And I was reviewing all these emails and I was like, these don't sound like you. They sound like me. These don't sound like you. These aren't really specific to your niche. And I was like, you know what? These templates aren't working anymore. So we scrapped them. And what we replaced them with is custom GPTs. Now, I've talked a little bit about custom GPTs on the podcast. So a custom GPT is something you build inside of ChatGPT. Now, there's other AI writing platforms that you can do this with, but I work with ChatGPT, Chatty G, as I lovingly call him. He is my life coach. But basically, you create a custom GPT and you train it like it's a 5-year-old to do a very specific task. Because if you're just using the generic ChatGPT, it's pulling information from everywhere, right? But when you have a custom GPT, you train it to sound like you. Okay, so it's only going to do what you ask it to do. You tell it your voice, you tell it about your target audience, you tell it about your offer, you give it a ton of information, and it will pump out whatever you need in terms of your social media, your emails, that sort of thing. So, what we've done is we teach our students how to create their own custom GPT. We call it their copywriter assistant. And then we give them done for you prompts with format. So instead of giving them a template for an email to promote a webinar, we give them a done for you prompt that they just copy and paste and put into ChatGPT, obviously after they've created their webinar. And we tell ChatGPT how to sort of format the email, like what things to hit in the email so that the strategy is still there. But then it writes it and it will sound totally different than Jamie's versus Jane's versus Brandon's versus Patty's, right? Because all these people have different voices, they have different personalities, they have different offers, and they have different target audiences, right? So even though the strategy is there, right? This is what we do in this email, this is the announcement email, or this is like the objection email, or whatever it is. ChatGPT understands the format and the strategy, but it's going to write it in the individual's unique voice. This not only works way better, but then you are not trying to fit your square peg into a round hole with these done for you templates. And it's so fast. So, one of the conversations I was having with one of these individuals on the call was like, oh, well, it just seems like if I do your program, I'm going to have to do so much more work. And if I just get this done for you thing, it's going to be really fast. No, you really can't. There is no fast track to having a successful program. There is a lot of work that goes into it. And I was like, the amount of time you were going to spend like changing those templates and changing that done for you program to make it fit what you're doing is going to be an insane amount of time versus you can come into HCA and we will show you how to train your AI copywriter. And then we just give you copy and paste done for you prompts and literally 10 sales emails that would have taken you maybe a week or more, like many, many hours to write, you can literally have in probably less than an hour, right? Because obviously the output that we get isn't going to be perfect. You're probably going to want to change things. You might want to work with the GPT a little bit to make it better, but the amount of time saved is crazy with this. And you're going to get a much better output. And at this point, if someone is out there selling templates, selling done for you, really they need to get with the times. They need to get with the times because that sort of stuff just isn't working anymore. And I can admit that the templates I had stopped working, but I could recognize that. I was like, these aren't working anymore. These aren't serving people. And there is a much better way to serve people. And that's why we made the transition. Okay. So please stop purchasing and investing in done for you social media, templated marketing, done for you programs. It's not going to work. There is no shortcut with this kind of things. You need to put the work in. This is going to be a lot of work, and there's no way to shortcut it. And especially these days in a very saturated online world where in my 15 years in business, it is the hardest buyer's market I have ever seen. It is harder to sell online than I have ever seen. It is very hard right now. And so, shortcuts and done for you, generic content, stuff that someone else wrote, and it's not even you, it has none of your personality, has none of your opinions, it has nothing of you in it, will never work. All right, my friend. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Wealthy Coach podcast. Now, if you would like to come inside Health Coach Accelerator and train your own AI copywriter and learn how to execute our strategy to filling and creating your online program using AI, saving you dozens and dozens, maybe even hundreds of hours. If you want to chat more of that, you can book a free strategy session with me. You can get the link to that in the show notes for this episode. And I will see you next Monday, same time, same place, where I help you become wealthy AF.